Welcome into another episode of the Stat Line. I'm your host, Jeff the Stat Guy. We're here to talk about the ugly that was OU South Carolina last week, as well as dive into South Carolina Bama this week. You already know, got a special guest lined up for you. The stat of the week through 7 games, South Carolina now has an amazing 12 offensive touchdowns. Can anyone stop this powerful offense? We're going to talk about it after the intro. Spin it.
And he's not had a pass. Look at this. 4th down. He's not had a snap. Here comes that pressure. Lofts it up, looking for Kelly. Touchdown! Can you believe it?
Welcome into another episode. You already know the Stat Line brought to you by the Fan Addict Sports Network. Look, it's Bama week, so I had to ring my guy and get him on in here. Y'all know we got a guy that's a friend of the network, so I'm going to bring him on in. I got Jonathan from the Bama Standard. Jonathan, how you doing tonight, my friend?
It's always a good week when we got football coming up this Saturday. It's not off season yet, and Bama still hasn't lost since Florida State, so I'm in a good mood.
I can hear on this down over here on the East Coast, things aren't looking as pretty. Obviously, we didn't. We started a little bit better, but the tides have definitely turned the last couple of weeks. First, man, just kind of recap. Did you get a chance to see any of the South Carolina OU game last week?
I did. I don't know if I want to talk about it.
Yeah,
Shane Beamer, is he on the clock?
He's on my clock. I told everybody I know, I felt that Sunday we should have fired Mike Shula.
Yeah.
He's got to go. And I feel the longer that Mike Shula is calling plays on Saturdays, the harder the seat is getting for Shane Beamer. I think his attitude about the situation, telling a reporter he made a change the previous week. Oh, we look great in practice. When you have that attitude, you're putting your head on the stake for another man who has clearly not done the job. 12 offensive touchdowns through 7 games is just unexcusable. You're not going to beat anybody in the SEC that way.
Can I just say something? I watched that game, and what kind of went inexcusable to me from a Mike Shula standpoint is you're like on your 5 or own 7 yard line, and you bunch your receivers up. So you only have to defend half the field, and then you just run the ball down the middle. Well, the play calling to me has been absolutely atrocious this season as a whole, especially when you consider the talent Lenore Sellers is. You're just not utilizing him, in my opinion, the way you should be.
Yeah, the big eye-opening play for South Carolina fans this last weekend, we had a 3rd and 2 on our own 45. We were 3 wide receivers, a tight end, running back. Lenore's drops back to pass, and no one is on the TV screen. Every single route is 15 yards plus downfield, and you know your offensive line has struggled. You knew that was going to be the weakest part of your offense coming into this year. So why on a 3rd and 2 are you not giving anything quick, anything underneath? So now it's just all on Lenore, since like he's never going to be successful in that. The offense itself isn't, with its concepts, isn't good. And then with the personnel we have, it's not set up to make us successful. So I definitely think that Shula is fighting for his life right now. And like I said, the longer he is on the coaching staff calling plays, he is going to put Beamer under more and more pressure. South Carolina fans are loyal by nature. We sold out during the 0-21, back during the late 90s, early 2000s. And so the South Carolina fans will show up. But when you sell them expectations before the year and you fall well short of those, and you can see that you were lied to, there needs to be some tough conversations had. But anyway, man, let's jump into this weekend. Obviously, we got Alabama rolling into town, 3:30 kickoff. Bama's going to be favored by 11.5 as of today. I know it started at 13.5, and it's kind of fluctuated right in that area all week long. I guess we'll just start off. We'll go Bama offense versus South Carolina defense. What are you looking for from a Bama perspective in that matchup?
I'll be honest with you. This game is simple. I've kind of simplified this game more than most because I tend to overanalyze things, right? So I've kind of drawn back to the simple things in life. When you look at the offense versus the South Carolina defense, it comes down to, number one, can Dylan Stewart, can these guys on that front seven get pressure on Ty Simpson? Even with Ty Simpson under pressure, he does a great job, right, of getting the ball out. So I guess what it really comes down to is, can South Carolina's defense disguise that back end coverage well enough to confuse Ty Simpson? In my opinion, that's what this game is going to come down to. And can Columbia get loud enough, right, to disrupt this? We've seen in the past, you can affect Ty, you can affect this offense for the most part, because he does a lot of checks, he does a lot of hot, you know what I mean, stuff pre-snap where you need that noise to not be going crazy for the most part. Can you affect it from that general standpoint? Alabama has now convinced me that they can win games without having to run the ball consistently, right? But of course, it has to be situational. It has to be certain things going on. But what I'm going to be really paying attention to is Ryan Williams and Latier Brooks and those wide receivers. How are they going to get off the line of scrimmage against South Carolina's cornerbacks, their press man coverage? If that happens, I feel extremely confident about how this game is going to go as far as from an Alabama offensive standpoint.
Oh, so one thing to that point that you have going for you is South Carolina has actually not played a lot of press man coverage this year. We've sat very soft in coverage, which is not typical for the Clayton White area in South Carolina. We're typically in your face on the outside, hands on somebody off the line, and you just try to throw their timing up just enough to let the D-line get home. And so we're playing 10, 15 yards off, even on third and short, and letting people pick us apart, kind of giving everybody everything underneath, trying not to get hit over the head. I think OU showed everybody the blueprint last week. As long as you have a willingness to run, I don't know if there's a team in the country that can't run against us.
So you don't think South Carolina's going to, because the one thing you can say is that slowed Alabama's offense down a little bit was press man. You don't think you don't think South Carolina's going to come up and at least attempt that?
I mean, I hope so, but they haven't shown it this year. And so we're far enough into the season that if you haven't done it yet, I can't sit here and be like, oh, this is the week they're going to get back to who we are as a defense.
Yeah. Like, you're right.
And that's what. So you look back to the like Vandy game and the Mizzou game. It's like all these games where we couldn't get off the field on third down. We do a good enough job of getting in like 3rd and 3, 3rd and 4, to where it's not just straight line up, run it down our throat that we know we can't stop. And it's like, so we're in this situation, but now we're 10 yards off the sticks, and it's like, it's just pitch and catch at that point. And we're not a great open field tackling team. So now you're having guys come downhill, hoping they're going to make a tackle in open space. And it's like, now if they miss, now you're just beat. And so, I mean, obviously, I hope that we come out press coverage. Willie B will be rocking at kickoff. We know that. Can we get off to a fast enough start to keep the crowd engaged? That's the part that I don't know. Our first drive offensively of the game has looked the best all year long of any offensive drive. And I know that's standard with you have your preset plays or whatever. I've been saying for weeks now, South Carolina, if they win the toss, needs to take the ball. They need to have their best offensive drive, try to get a lead, and try to pour some energy into this defense that's so used to playing from behind all year.
Yeah, no, I agree with you 100%. And look, in my opinion, Shane Bieber, he's going to have to adjust eventually. This defense is going to have to adjust. That's just the way I feel about it. Is it like you said, if you haven't done it all year? Now, granted, I haven't watched every single South Carolina game. So when I looked at the past 2 games, I'm like, well, some adjustments I would assume have to be coming. But the more and more South Carolina fans I'm talking to, I'll be honest with you, it's feeling like there's not a lot of confidence in this team as a whole. Not even just, it's not just the players. A lot of this is concentrating on the coaching staff, to be honest with you, from what I'm gathering. So is that a fair assessment from the fan base in South Carolina right now?
Yeah, I would. So obviously, the last year was the best we've done in Clayton White's tenure, who's been the DC since Beamer
Yeah.
has been in South Carolina at stopping the run. You also had three defensive tackles drafted in the first 4 rounds. And so you knew we were going to revert a little bit. I feel like we're a talented football team. Now, some of it's been execution, but I feel like a lot of it offensively and defensively has been schematically. Obviously, some of the penalties and stuff, knucklehead stuff, those things will cost you football games. And I can understand that. But I feel like we're getting taken out of those by the coaching staff before we even get there. And I think the more interviews that we see done where they claim how great we're looking in practice and all of this is what's rubbing fans the wrong way. I'm like Allen Iverson, man. I don't care about, we talking about practice, not the game I love, but practice. Like, bro, they're not hanging a national championship because you practice good all year. Make it count on Saturdays. And like I said, part of the thing at South Carolina has been, even when we've been bad, we've had a good like at worst, a good secondary, putting guys in the league, even in our worst years. And I just don't feel like, now, obviously, you lose Nicky Mamore from last year, and he was your vocal leader, your emotional leader out of that secondary. But you had a couple guys you were expecting to step up, and nobody's done it. There's been some bright spots where wide receivers have just made better plays than our DBs, but they've been in phase. They've been where they need to be. And just the wide receiver makes a better play on the ball because he gets NIL too. But the not playing press coverage when you don't have a good defensive line and you can't get pressure as it is, why are we giving guys just free runs 7 to 10 yards down the field to play pitch and catch? Is just inexcusable.
Dude, if they give Latsier Brooks and Ryan Williams 10 yards cushion, it's going to be a very long day for South Carolina's defense. I mean, an extremely long day for them because Latsier Brooks is now coming on strong. And that's one thing. Reverting back to Alabama's offense for a second, Kevin Riley catching the ball at the backfield for Alabama has been crucial, especially when there's pressure, blitzes coming in Ty's face. These dump offs that Ryan Grubb has implemented for Alabama have been great, and Ty's just taking what's given to him. And if that's the case, I mean, this is going to be a tough game, in my opinion, for South Carolina to watch. If that's the game plan going into this.
So I will say one good thing for South Carolina is we do have a redshirt freshman in Fred Johnson, who at linebacker is probably been our best player on defense this year. So he'll take care of the stuff coming out of the backfield. We kind of like that matchup, but everywhere else on the defense is not good. I don't know if Dylan's going to go coming off the hip flexor. He might be out for another game or two. And so it's like when you lose your guy, the one guy that can wreak havoc by himself, and you haven't been doing it anyway, it's a scary sight. I know that Ty Simpson's kind of been y'all's guy. He's kind of been driving the train a little bit for y'all. Do you think that Bama looks at what OU did to us last week, as well as everybody else this year, and says we're just going to come out and put our foot down and run the ball down their throat?
This may sound crazy, but I don't. And the reason why I say this is because Alabama has done one staple thing since the Florida State game, which, to be fair, that was game 1. So I won't even count that in this conversation, really. They've come out, and since that Florida State game, they've implemented a game plan and created an identity, and then they have not come off of that. We will run the ball enough to make you respect it. But at the end of the day, it is Ty Simpson's job to line up with a play in mind, to make protection changes, checks, all that stuff. And if he feels like the pass is the better option, they allow him to already do that. That's very clear. It's been happening in the past 4 games. So yes, I think they'll take what OU did and can possibly have him think about that, right? So, depending on the defense, how they're lining up, identifying the mic, all that great stuff. But I think at the end of the day, Alabama's finally kind of found out that if we play our style of offense and force you into that style of defense to defend us on, that's how we're going to kind of create that identity and keep winning these games, in my opinion.
Well, and see, and it's weird. Not that it's like great by any means, but it is a brighter spot of our defense is we are a little bit better against the pass
Yeah.
than we are against the run, mainly because everybody has so much success running on us that they don't throw the ball. And so it makes the pass defense look even better. Only giving up 150 yards through the air to John Mateer, who was averaging almost 300 or a little over. But we gave up 1 million on the ground, so it's like it doesn't matter. Well, flipping the sheet, the Alabama defense against a South Carolina offense that, again, as I said in the opening, they have scored 12 touchdowns through 7 games. I mean, it's just been absolutely ugly in Columbia. What are you expecting from this matchup?
Man, this is the part that worries me if I'm an Alabama fan predicting this game. As far as the spread, especially, is we already know the history with Alabama and running quarterbacks. And you know what? I'll discount that because for the most part, we've beaten a lot of those guys. We beat Pribula, some of these guys that can run the ball as well. Tommy Castellani's put on a clinic against us. I get that. But if you go and like you've pointed out, Stat Guy, like when you go and look at the play calling Mike Shula has done, it doesn't use Lenoris to his advantage. So it makes me as an Alabama fan, once again, feel a little bit more confident in all honesty on our defense. And look, our defense has not faced the best offenses. People will say, well, you only give up, 17 or whatever to Tennessee. I get that. But Tennessee also outgained us in yards, right? So we give up yards. We play a true bend, don't break defense. I'm not a big fan of it, but it works and it creates turnovers. We're +9 in the turnover margin. I don't remember where that ranks in the SEC, but I know it's on the top half of the SEC, right? We defend the pass really well. 154.6 yards a game, I believe, is what we allow per game. Same thing on the rush, though. We allow 154, exactly 0.6 yards per rush, or not per rush, but a game in rushing. So, we do a pretty piss poor job, in my opinion, on that. You can definitely gash us, but I think Alabama, once again, is finding that identity on that defense, that 4-2-5, you know what I mean, and figuring out, look, we're going to get gashed every now and then, but if we can control the quarterback and force him to play where he's got to be patient, is he willing to stay in the pocket and throw the ball? I think that's where we're getting slowly better and just understanding it's no longer about holding a team to a certain amount of yards, right? It's just, can we keep them out of the end zone? Right? How does our red zone defense look? Because our red zone defense is outstanding. I think they convert 67% of the time, right? Whereas South Carolina is like 80%. So we have a great red zone defense. We have a great first down defense, right? So we kind of minimize. And then our penalties have gotten so much better from last year to this year. We're one of the worst in the SEC, if not all the nation last year. I think we averaged like 9 penalties a game. We're down to 5.5. So no, I feel very confident in Alabama's defense from a standpoint of South Carolina so far this year. Outside of Lenoris Sellers himself, who I think is an outstanding and great quarterback, outside of him, nothing really scares me, to be honest with you. Nick Harbor, I thought he was going to be doing more than he's doing. Outside of that, man, nothing just stands out to me that says South Carolina is going to win this game based on this offense doing something against us. In my opinion, top 25 defense, because it's 25th in total defense. That's it.
Yeah, so couple things to look for from the South Carolina side. Obviously, you're now another week removed from Sean Elliott taking back over the offensive line duties. You saw an immediate improvement last week, right? I mean, we led the SEC in procedural snaps or procedural penalties pre-snap. You look, we had 14 offensive penalties against Missouri, 9 pre-snap. And then so we follow that up. It's just like that's what we've been against LSU. We take the ball inside, have first down inside of their 35 4 times, come away with 0 points. And so because of penalties. And so we cleaned some of that up last week, but you said it, they're not using Lenoir's right. Mike Shula's tried to turn him into a pro-style pocket passer. Our offensive line isn't built for that. The crazy thing is he completes like 80% of his passes on the run. So why they're not rolling him out to the right and letting him then decide, am I tucking this or am I looking to see what I got downfield is insane to me. Shorty getting in the comments.
Going on, brother.
Appreciate you, Shorty, man. Appreciate you jumping in with us. But yeah, they're not using him right. The running game has looked a little better the last couple weeks. We obviously have Rasul Faison, the transfer from Utah State, Michael Fuller, the redshirt freshman from Georgia, from the state of Georgia, is starting to get more love. He's kind of the number 2 guy now. But everything we do is just like the concept of who we are as an offense is bad. To me, you knew going into the year your offensive line was going to not be great. You would hope it was a little better than what it is, and it's not. But why is the ball not coming out fast? Why is everything trying to go deep downfield? Why aren't we hitting underneath? Why aren't we getting Lenoir's out on these design sprint outs? We're not doing any of that. It's just our offense is Lenoir's running for his life, and we're fortunate enough that he is a freak athletically and can make enough guys miss. There was a play against LSU. He broke 7 tackles.
That's ridiculous.
To gain 1 yard.
Okay, so I'm sorry, I'm not trying to cut you off, but if it's 3rd and 2, why is your offense not gearing towards that? Why is the ball having to leave Lenoir Sellers' hands? Roll this dude out. Let him do his thing, man.
Right.
It's not like he's some small guy. Lenoir can run you over. He can make people miss.
Now, one of the things, so last year, one of our go-to, and I see you, Shawty, the OC, Mike Shula, better be fired this Sunday, or I will become even louder about my thoughts on what needs to happen to Shane Beamer after the year. And we'll just leave it at that. But we're hoping that Shane wakes up and doesn't make his bed with this guy. He needs to go. But last year, one of our most successful plays on short yardage situation, no matter the down, was just a straight sprint out. Not even like a rollout, like Lenoir's get the ball, run right as fast as you can.
100% agree with that, man. It's just, if it's short yardage and you put the ball in your best player's hands, I've always heard, guys, I've never coached, I've never played at a high level, but I've been around enough people to know when it's time to get a first down or money down, that first down, you put it in your best player's hands. And it seems like South Carolina and Mike Shula specifically, who I've endured, by the way, for a couple of years, and I'm going to talk about that time frame, he does a piss poor job of doing that.
And you see Coach I getting in saying that it baffles him not running Sellers on short yardage. Now, one thing I will say is this year, at least, he has loved that sideline. Like last year, you saw him turn up and stick his nose in there and say, hey, I'm 6'4", 240. What up? Like we can bang shoulder to shoulder. Yeah. Let's see what happens. He has been way more hesitant to do that and is ducking out of bounds. And I think he's thinking about the future because every single week you have these different draft analysts come out and who's in everybody's top 5. As bad as we've looked this year, as bad as Lenoir has looked this year, the NFL still loves him. Well, and he is still going to be a very high draft pick come April.
So with that being said, Stat Guy, once again, I'm not trying to interrupt you, but are we looking at a predicament here to where do you think Shane Beamer and this staff, are they developing these guys at the rate they should be? Because when I look at Lenoir Sellers to this year, even in the past, Spencer Rattler and a multitude of other guys, you have studs. But the biggest one that sticks out to me the most is Lenoir Sellers. You have the talent, and I think that mock draft, him being he's going to be a top 10 for sure. I think if not top 5 pick in the NFL draft. That should speak volumes to this dude should be doing more than what he's doing. So is the development there from Shane Beamer in South Carolina? Is that a problem or a talking point with you guys?
So part of it's the development, but a lot of it is we're not putting our guys in situations to be successful.
Okay.
Coach basketball for many years with Coach I, and we always say, KYP, know your personnel.
Yep.
And we would get mad at our point guards if you're throwing a no look behind the pass to a big that's in there to rebound and run and block shots and stuff, and he fumbles it out of bounds. We're not mad at him. We're mad at you. Why are you throwing him that pass?
Yep.
And so I feel like the coaching staff hasn't put this offense in a situation to be successful. You look as far as receivers go, our leading receiver last year, Mazio Bennett Jr., the true freshman.
Shout out.
Now this year comes back, loses his starting job heading into the third week. We brought in 7 freshman wide receivers this year that the staff absolutely loves. And it's like, why are you going away from guys that have already shown you they can do it at this level against SEC competition for unproven when you need sure-handed guys?
Coach Al, what's up?
Yeah, Sellers should stay in college another year. Dude needs to develop. The problem with that is you don't turn down top 5 money, and I don't think he's getting developed at South Carolina. I think he gets developed better in the NFL. I also think, depending on where he goes, the best thing for him would be sliding in the draft. Like, could you imagine him getting drafted by the Eagles and him sit behind Jalen Hurts for like 2 or 3 years and then get in that system? Because he's just a bigger Jalen Hurts. Like, that would be absolutely scary. But I get it. I do think he needs to develop. But if he's staying in college, he can't stay at South Carolina if he wants to develop. At that point, you're just wasting a year. Go to the NFL, take your high draft pick, take your huge signing bonus.
Yeah.
Not getting to it's bad. And that's maybe. I mean, depending on what they're going to offer him NIL wise, I mean, he's making 3.7 this year just from the collective. I know he also has a State Farm deal, as well as some other stuff. So you never know. I mean, the money might be good enough to keep him in college another year, but the development side of things is frustrating when you have the talent that we have. Like I said, we brought in 7 freshman wide receivers to basically flip that entire room that was so bad last year. You add those to Jaylen Brown, Mazio Bennett Jr., and then Nick Harbor. It's like you feel really good about that room now, but the play calling isn't doing anything to help that room. And that's, I guess, my other thing. Like, if guys are going to be 15 yards downfield, why aren't we taking shots to Nick Harbor? The dude's a legit 10-1 guy. Let Sellers drop back 9 yards, give him as much time as he can, and then throw it as far as he can, and see if Nick runs under it. And if not, it's just an overthrow. And I'm totally fine with that being the end result because it's better than what we are doing, which is nothing.
Yeah, I agree with that 100%. And when I watched I watched the South Carolina during the Oklahoma game, and even before those couple of games, one thing you've already pointed out is South Carolina's tendencies are definitely running deep digs, right? So post, go route sometimes. Like nothing, it seems like almost from what I observed, man, it's not very often you'll see a mesh route, right? So or a 5-yard out or a flag route even. Like it's pretty rare to see something like that. And it's like that definitely does not help Sellers at all. It gives him no dump off. Like there's no escaping what's going to happen at that point.
We don't run any like true man beaters, anything like any quick hitters. And I'm thinking like I'm watching all these other teams run pick routes or rub routes. I'm like, y'all realize Nick Harbor's 6'5", 245. Run his big tail into somebody.
Throw it.
No, well, use him in the rub route.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah. I get what you're saying. Yeah.
That's a big body out there to run into somebody. Like they got to make a business decision of how this is going to play out.
Yeah.
And it's not like I don't think mentally he's like that's one of the things that we kind of hate about him is I don't think he's got that real dog in him. And it's why he's a wide receiver and not on the D line. But you're still 6'5", 245. Like they got to decide how they're getting around this, and it creates space. Get the ball out of Sellers' hands fast. Let these wide receivers that you love make plays for you with the ball in their hand. The thing that I hated the most about last week is Sellers' younger brother. Last week was the first game he played in. He was targeted 9 times with 6 catches. They ran a trick play with them where they they ran a jet sweep with him, with Lenoris rolling out on the backside for the pass. Lenoris is wide open, and Little Sellers just keeps the ball, runs, gains like a yard or two. And it's like, now's not your time. You might be a good wide receiver for South Carolina one day. Now is not your time. Throw the ball to your brother. There's no one around him, and let him do what he's paid to do.
Yeah.
So it is as far as like matching up against y'all's defense, South Carolina will run the ball right up the middle with halfback slam, halfback dive until it blew in the face. So as long as y'all can stop the run directly at you, you'll be fine. We don't do a lot of, we don't put Lenoris in speed options or anything like that. And so
like, it's crazy.
The one thing that you have to worry about is you're gonna get pressure on Lenoris. Keep your lane discipline when you do. Trust the guy beside you is gonna be where he's supposed to be, because if you overcompensate and you don't get Lenoris down, which you probably won't by yourself, that is when you could get opened up to get slice and dice with it. Because if he takes off and he gets into the open field, that's where the trouble is. And I'll be honest, the biggest thing of why we haven't seen the explosive runs from him this year is last year we were giving up pressure outside, but then he was able to get up underneath it and then cut back outside. This year, the primarily pressure is coming right up the middle, right down his face. And then when he goes to get outside to avoid it, the guys are out there waiting. Yeah. And so we always say, man, you give up pressure up the middle, it ruins everything. You know, it can blow up a run play, pass, it don't matter. You get pressure in the middle and you're going to cause some problems.
No doubt.
All right, man, let's jump into it. Let's get into these predictions. Again, Alabama rolling into Willie B, 3:30 kickoff. Alabama currently favored by 11.5. Give me a score prediction and kind of your thoughts on how this game's going to play out Saturday.
My score prediction is going to be 35-17. I think the first quarter, it's going to be loud. It's going to be obnoxious for sure as an Alabama fan. Thank goodness I'm not going there this year. It's about a 6.5 hour drive from where I'm at. But I do think Alabama has a good chance in this game as long as they stay locked in. I would be more worried about this game for sure. I'd be completely worried about it if we didn't get slapped around by Florida State in week 1 and have to wake up. So this team knows what can happen to them if they don't show up to a game from that perspective. So that's why I got a little bit more confidence in this team as far as going into Columbia this year, because I still got scars of 2010 from Stephen Garcia and Alshon Jeffrey and all the cats, what they did. But no, I feel like 35-17 early on stays close. And I think really by the end of the third quarter is where Alabama should be kind of not necessarily pulling away, but that's where Ty Simpson doesn't get enough credit on money downs, first down passes in the third quarter, especially late third quarter. First downs, I believe he has 8 touchdowns on. I think 4 of those are in the end of the third or beginning of the fourth. So like we tend to definitely have tendencies of we start to pull away and kill you deep, right? Go down, at least throwing past 25 yards the later these games go into. And that's typically where it will eventually open up the run game for Daniel Hill and Jam Miller and these guys.
Yeah, so for me, I'm kind of right there with you. I got Alabama winning this game 34-14 with the second touchdown being either defensively or special teams. I think the offense is done scoring for the year. I think we might get one a game or so, but I just do not trust this offense to reliably put up points. You did bring up Stephen Garcia in 2010. Garcia will be back on campus Saturday, bringing his son Memphis on a visit. Memphis is obviously a quarterback recruit in the 26th class out of Tampa, Florida. His dad obviously being his quarterback coach. So be fun to have him back on campus for the Bama game, obviously with what he meant to that 2010 performance that we knocked y'all off when y'all were ranked number 1 in the country. But I don't know if the rest of the year we can match up with anybody in the SEC, because I think offensively we'll just beat ourselves week in and week out. And that's, I think, my biggest issue with South Carolina football is you're coming off the 9-3 year. We were a play away from Bama. We were a play away from LSU from having two different shots to be 10-2, potentially 11-1, sitting pretty in the playoffs. And you then sell us, oh, you're a top 12 team. You maybe even are a top 10 team, playoffs. And now here we are in the 8th game of the season. All of that's over. And now you're looking at the schedule thinking, how do we make a bowl game? And so from the starting point to the ending point, major changes have to be made to fix that. But look, man, I will be tuned in Saturday. I might end up breaking a remote, or who knows what I'll end up breaking. I'll watch and torture myself because I'm a Gamecock fan, and that's what the Gamecocks do. But I will promise you this: if nothing else, at 3:30 at kickoff, Willie B will be jumping, and at least that first drive for y'all will be difficult.
Yeah, no doubt. Now, I respect Columbia. I do respect South Carolina. I know a lot of Alabama fans don't think that because I'm confident in this game. But, yeah, no, I think it's going to be a good game. I wish I could honestly go to the South Carolina game this year. I've never had a chance to experience it in Columbia, and I've heard great things about home games there. So I will say that I got to eventually go out there. Maybe we can meet up or something like that and watch a game.
Well, give the people out in the YouTube land, give them a little update on what you got coming up and going on with Bama Standard or anything else you cooking on.
So I'm currently on the Bama Standard a little bit there, but I'm actually starting my own thing on the side as well. Me, Coach Carl, and Marvin Constant. T-Town Media is what it's called on YouTube. We actually just posted our first video today. We're going to have some great content coming out there from the campus at the University of Alabama, tours, you know what I mean? Just attending events. That's why we put the media name in it. It's not specifically just for getting on here and talking football, but it's experiencing things, going out to Columbia, recording that experience, putting that stuff out there. It's more than just about Alabama football, right? It's about college football as a whole. So just coming out of T-Town.
Awesome, man. Well, everybody be on the lookout. T-Town Media. We already know you do a great job with your content, Jonathan. So I'm definitely looking forward to seeing that. You already know, as far as for me, you can pretty much find us on the Fanatic Sports Network Monday through Thursday, 8 p.m. Eastern, where we talk all things SEC football. And hey, maybe you're like me and your football team is trash and you're ready just to end it all. Hey, guess what? College basketball starts next week.
Oh, God.
We right around the corner. So definitely be on the lookout. We got Chuck and Buckets coming back with me, Coach I, and KB. We'll have the Lady Gamecocks and other SEC action coming y'all's way. And I will be in a much better mood because Don Staley is the key to my heart. But look, man, for Jonathan, I'm the stat guy. And don't forget, around here, it's always go Cox. We out of here.